What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update. The season is done and dusted, and it's time for the silly season. Transfer window isn't open yet, but I think you can pretty much assume that it's more or less open. Teams will be doing deals from today onwards, I guess, and there's a lot of business to do at Tottenham Hotspur. Paul O'Keefe has been talking a lot this morning about potential transfers, and he's spoken about player sales, and he says Spurs are prepared to let go of the likes of Fraser Forster, Giovanni Lo Celso, Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg, Joe Rodon, Jed Spence, Sergio Reguilon, Ryan Sessegnon, Ben Davies, Emerson Royal, Tanguy Ndombele, Brian Hill and Solomon, and they will also listen to offers of the right circumstances if they fit the club's requirements for Richarlison, Bissouma and Skip as well. So, yeah, not that much to do.
No, but in terms of the list, not many surprises. I guess the most surprising name is Solomon, but even him is probably not that much of a surprise considering there's been links about Spurs being interested in selling him anyway. All those players we all know, we need to get them out the door. How many players is that on that list?
I think it's about 14.
14 players. And how many of them were in the
15.
15, and how many of them were not part of the squad this season? Just in
so Rodon, Spence, Reguilon. You can probably count Sessegnon, even though he was. Ndombele. That's it, 5.
So for 10 players who were used in the first team this season, we need to get rid of. That's a big lot of players who, I mean, they didn't play that much, but Hojbjerg had a lot of minutes this season.
I think Hojbjerg played more or less in the majority of games, whether it be a sub or starter.
Fair. Yeah, true. He played quite a lot, but there's a lot of work to do. So that is going to be a lot of change, and it's going to be difficult. Shifting all those players are going to be difficult. I think selling people like Hojbjerg won't be a problem, but it's when you get down that list when it's going to be an issue. Obviously, we'll talk about Sessegnon I'm guessing in a minute, but yeah. Hopefully, how much do you reckon we can raise from that amount?
Well, Fraser Forster is actually an interesting one because that just like adds the need of business to do this summer. Because is Brandon Austin really going to be backup goalkeeper next season? Is he going to be trusted? He has been trusted since Forster's been injured, but I think you may as well keep Forster for the last year of his contract and delay bringing in a goalkeeper for another year because there are so many more pressing issues.
I, for one, if we're going to be playing a second keeper in the Cups, I'd rather sign another one, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm saying we don't play a second keeper in the Cups, just play Vicario.
You could do that, but if most top clubs do play a second keeper, I don't know what reason it is, but they do. So if that's what the road we want to go down, I'm not against it.
But in terms of how much money, so Lo Celso, you could probably say about 15 million.
Yeah, at least.
I hope you're keeping a tally in your head. Hojbjerg, about 15 million. That's 30 million. Rodon, what would you say, about 10 million?
I reckon between 10 and 15. I reckon we can get our money back at least for him, which we paid about 12.
Okay, so that's another 15. Spence, don't know, 5 to 10 million.
Spence, yeah, let's say 7 million. So that's
Reguilon, with 1 year left in his deal, I don't think you get much, maybe 5 to 10 million.
I reckon you can get a good 8 million from him.
Yeah,
that's
5 to 10. Sessegnon free. Ben Davies, you could probably get a good 10 million for Ben Davies. Maybe 5,
well,
between 5 and 10.
Yeah, a bit less.
But he's a good asset for a club to pick up. He's actually a good asset.
But 30, 31, like a left back or like
centre back. I think he moves it to centre back, whoever he signs for.
I don't know how much. I don't know if you get that much for him.
Emerson,
7 million, 67.
Emerson, about 20 million, I would say.
Yeah, so 77.
Ndombele, you're getting next to nothing for him.
You're getting nothing for him, yeah.
Brian Hill, about, 5 to 10 million again.
Well, they said 6 million euros, didn't they?
Give him 5. Just say 5 for argument's sake. And Solomon as well, probably another 5 million.
No, Solomon, I reckon you can get at least 10.
Say 10. We picked him up for free, so I think they'll be more willing to do a cut price deal for him.
Oh, I mean, I think we were quite conservative with the numbers there, in my opinion, and that's 92 million.
Plus Richarlison, Bissouma and Skip.
If we do sell all, Richarlison's at least 50 probably million, I would say.
Richarlison 50, Bissouma 40.
Bissouma 40, that's another 90
million. And Skip you could probably get about 30 million for.
I don't know about 30. I reckon 20.
All right, 20 to 25, 30.
That's 100 million right there. So you're looking at close to 200 million there potentially.
Plus the money which we've already got.
If we get 200 million for those players, that'll be. I mean, what a start to a rebuild that could be. I mean, I mean, I struggle to think we would get 200 million, but I also look at the numbers. I'm thinking we are being quite conservative with how much we're thinking we're going to get. But it's about obviously if we can get the buyers.
But you got to look at it this way as well. Like there will be a lot of players on that list that are in the last year of their contract that you might not get anything for, and you might have to do loan deals for the rest of their contract and not get anything, just get wages out the door.
Yeah, probably there'll be a few of those, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So if we can get a lot of this business done early, it could be a very exciting summer.
100%. Into specifics, Paul O'Keefe was talking about Hojbjerg, and he says there is interest from 5 clubs abroad from Italy, Germany and Spain, and it's fully expected that he does depart this summer for around 15 to 20 million pounds.
Yeah, and I think that's probably right. Obviously, I think we tried to get between 25 and 30 last year. There were not really any takers, and he ended up staying. I think he was probably a good addition to the squad, having him off the bench. But now I think it's time for him to leave. It's our last chance to get a bit of money, and I can't see why there wouldn't be clubs in for him. Obviously, Atletico were close last year. Fulham, I think, were the only club that actually put the money up, but he didn't want to go there. He didn't want to go to Fulham, so that broke down. So I think he's definitely our most sellable asset, where I really believe teams will be in for him. So I'm sure he'll get a club that suits him.
And it's also worth noting, we're going to get into the squad for the tour that's gone out to Australia in a minute, but he's not gone. So I think that does tell you that maybe a deal is maybe further down the line for him than maybe for other players.
I hope so.
Let's talk about Ryan Sessegnon now. Fabrizio Romano broke a story this morning saying that he understands Ryan Sessegnon will leave as a free agent as expected. Time to part ways with the left back. It's already plenty of interest across England and Europe for Sessegnon, but the player's preference is to stay in the Premier League. And Ali Gold just confirmed that, and he says, as I reported a couple of months back, Ryan Sessegnon's contract comes to an end this summer. Spurs have informed the left back, who turns 24 on Saturday, that they will not be taking up the extra year option of his deal. And it was those hamstring problems that fragmented his time at Tottenham, just too much overall. But hopefully the surgery that he's had on both legs now will ensure his career is not defined by those issues. He's got so much more to offer the game.
Yeah, it's a shame how his career's panned out. Obviously, at the end of the day, you look at it now as 30 million down the drain or 25 million down the drain.
He's 24 now.
I know. He's not young, but he's not old either. So he could still have a good career if he can sort out these issues.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's just always carried him around ever since he's come to Tottenham. Literally every single season he's been injured. Even when he's gone out on loan. I remember he went out on loan to, I think, what was it, Hoffenheim, and got injuries as well when he was there. So he's had surgery, then he's come back from surgery, and then the other hamstring's gone, and he's had another surgery. I think from Tottenham's point of view, it's been how long now? 5 years.
2019, yeah.
So yeah, coming up on 5. This will be his 5th season. It's mad to think he's been here half a decade, and we've barely seen him in like 50 games, probably.
Yeah.
I would say,
Yeah.
in a Spurs shirt. So, and look, I think there's one thing if like whenever he did play, he was like unbelievable. So like, it's worth taking the risk of carrying on. But he's been fairly average when he has played as well. I mean, he did have some good spells.
Yeah, a stint under Conte, yeah.
Under Conte, he had some good spell, but it wasn't enough to say to me like
scored at the Allianz.
Yeah, he did. It is a shame how it's panned out because a young English player, especially how he started his career, at 16, scoring so many goals in the Championship. You really thought this guy was something special. And maybe if he would have stayed injury-free, he might have been. But unfortunately, when you've had this level of injury, I think it doesn't make any sense for Tottenham to carry on with him at this point.
Yeah, I do think he's got something about him. It's just those injuries have just hampered him his whole career. And I do think he's a talented footballer, whether it be at left back, left wing back, left wing. I do think he can give something, like Ali Gold, give something back to the game and give something to a club, but it just depends on those injuries and if he can kind of get past that. But it's hard to think that he can at this stage.
I think the biggest problem actually with Sessegnon is that the injuries have caused him a big confidence issue, I think, and you can see that when he plays. Sometimes he doesn't quite go for it because he's worried if he goes into goes into another gear, his hamstring might go again. And I think that's affected definitely his play. I think when he first started, he looked a lot more confident taking people on, but as years have gone by, that's gone out of his game a bit.
Maybe he needs to drop down a level, maybe go back to the Championship, and not because that's where his quality is, but maybe if he shows that, because his quality in the Championship will be really good, and he can show that he's a level above those players, and maybe he can get confidence back that way.
Yeah, he needs to rebuild his confidence. That's the main issue.
Next up, Emerson Royal. Bild are reporting that Bayern Munich want to sign Emerson Royal this summer, with Tottenham hoping to get 24.8 million fee, with Juventus and AC Milan also interested in his signature. So a bit of interest building up for Emerson. It feels like Bayern Munich are just trying to take all our scraps.
A lot of top clubs there. Juve, Milan, Bayern. What? I mean, unbelievable. Emerson probably, what an agent he has. You probably can't quite believe that these are the clubs he's being touted out for. Still, obviously, they haven't mentioned the Saudi Arabia clubs, which as well apparently reportedly interested in him. I hope, look, whatever move he gets out of those clubs is a top move for him. I'll be very surprised if Bayern Munich are the ones that he lands on. I think
you're surprised when Eric Dyer went
yeah,
there.
Yeah, you know what? That's absolutely right. And he did going there. I mean, imagine they end up with Emerson, Dyer. Who else are you going to sign?
Davinson from Galatasaray, they'll probably get.
Danny Rose is on a free. We can get him.
Maybe Sessegnon can go there.
Sessegnon. It's a very odd dynamic. But I do think actually Italy would suit him a lot better. I think the Italian football would be a really good fit for Emerson Royal. And considering he's still 23, if he moved to one of these top clubs, he'd have Barca on his CV, Tottenham, and then he would have, a Juve or a Milan or a Bayern. So for a player who, I know he's a good player, but I don't think he's that anything special. So for him to get a lot of all his interest is quite incredible. But let's hope we get a good fee for him.
He needs to go to a team that have a good defensive structure and that are more of a defensive team than maybe a team like Spurs that with the high line and everything like that and playing full gung-ho attacking football. And I think the Italian league, particularly like Juventus, I know Allegri's gone now, so I don't know what the direction they're going to go in. Is Thiago Motta? What kind of football does he play?
Thiago Motta, he's very offensive at Genoa. Bologna. He was very offensive, really innovative as well. So I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know where he fits in there.
I say that, you don't necessarily have to be good going forward. You just have to be good on the ball. Like if I look at the Man City defenders, like people like Ake and Akanji,
but he's not particularly good on the ball.
They don't go forward and score goals, but they're very good at in possession, on the ball. They're very good technically. Emerson, he showed a bit of ability earlier in the season, back end of last season, when he played that inverted role. He was actually not terrible, but this season when he's asked to do a bit more, he's kind of been found wanting. So I, for one, I think he's probably not fit for a top club, but it seems as though they're all after him.
Well, we'll see how that one pans out. Let's talk about a potential incoming Callum Hudson-Odoi. Paul O'Keefe says that Spurs are looking at Callum Hudson-Odoi's potential summer addition for around 25 to 30 million pounds. Left winger, can play on the right as well. He's had a fairly good season for Forest this year. In my opinion, it's been a bit of an up and down season for him, but he's shown quality, that's for sure. 8 goals I think he's got for Nottingham Forest this year. To be honest, I'm just fed up of being linked with Nottingham Forest players and these players down the bottom of the league. We've been heavily linked with Morgan Gibbs-White. We brought in Brennan Johnson last summer, at the end of the summer, and now we're looking at Callum Hudson-Odoi. And I tell you, we're not going to win. We're not going to build a team that's going to be fighting for the title just picking up these kind of players.
I mean, depends how they fit in. I think people like Gibbs-White are players who, yes, are playing near the bottom of the league, but they're much better than that. And you can definitely find value in these teams. Whether Hudson-Odoi fits that is another question. Obviously, he's still 23. He's had a very weird career. I think it was back in 2019, Bayern Munich were looking to sign him for a lot of money.
Yeah.
They're willing to give him a big wage, and Chelsea fought it off that by giving him close to 200 grand a week in wages.
Yeah.
He got that contract and pretty much rested on his laurels. Completely didn't improve for many years. I think also picked up a big injury as well along the way.
It was injuries that always held him back. That was the main thing, I think.
It was injuries as well, but his performance level wasn't particularly great for a number of years, I remember. But maybe it was because of injuries. That was why. He went on loan to Leverkusen last year. Didn't do great when he was on loan at Leverkusen, to be honest. Barely played a game.
Because of injuries again.
Yeah, but when he did play, he wasn't able to really impact it. But then this season, signed for 3 million. They got him for £3 million at the beginning of the season. And he's definitely shown an ability that he's definitely a Premier League player for sure. Definitely able to play at this level. And some of the goals he scored have been absolutely phenomenal. He's clearly got that cut inside and whip it far corner absolutely down pat. And the power he gets on these shots, the technique on his shots are really good. What I do question sometimes with Hudson-Odoi is his decision making at times. I feel like he's got all the attributes to be such an effective winger, but sometimes he just gets caught not making the wrong decision way too often, which is why he's only on 8 goals and 3 assists, where you watch him play, he looks so exciting, and he looks like he can hurt you at every opportunity, but then it always seems to break down a lot of Hudson-Odoi. But he's still only 23, and he's got all the potential that you need to be a top winger, in my opinion. But the problem what I see with Hudson-Odoi is he's very good at cutting inside and shooting, but to be a winger in our system, he needs to be a bit more... he has to have a bit more ability to play with his teammates. I feel like he's very good individually, but when it comes to link-up play with his teammates, I still question him. So if he can improve that aspect of his game, I think it's worth doing. But if he's still gonna stagnate in how he is, then I don't think he's gonna be worth the money that we go for him. But obviously they're saying 25 million, which it's not a terrible price for a young English winger who's couldn't play in the Premier League.
Look, it's another one that ticks a lot of boxes in terms of upping the quota of the UK players and stuff like that. He's got talent, for sure. He's got talent. He was like the heart of Cobham, wasn't he? The heartbeat of Cobham when he was coming through the ranks there. I do like him as a player. If we're going to sign him and only him as our winger option, then I'll completely say no, we can't do that. We need someone of proven quality that's going to come in and really, improve the levels of the team. But if you're going to bring him as cover for the left wing and cover for the right wing, I think it could be a bit of smart business for us.
Yeah. I've never been that impressed with him on the right, to be honest. I think he definitely works a lot better on the left, but I have seen him play on the right before. He definitely has an ability, and maybe we can improve him on the right, because we Ange will maybe show him a different side. So I'm not definitely against it, and obviously with Forest having FFP issues, maybe we can get a good deal.
It's more or less pure profit for them, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, because he only signed for very, very cheap. So I think it could be a smart piece of business, but on the flip side, I don't know if we would have signed him, if we would have looked at him too much, if he was like, if Forest weren't under these problems,
that's
and he
the
wasn't
thing.
English, and
that's the thing.
That kind of thing. So
that's what I keep. That's what I meant by my comment when we first started speaking about him. It's like, would we go for all these players if the clubs weren't struggling financially? Maybe Morgan Gibbs-White is a bit of a different case, but even Brennan Johnson, I'd put in that boat. Like, would we be going for these players if the teams weren't struggling with FFP?
Yeah, and that's just the frustration. It's not to say we shouldn't go for any players any player that from a team that's strong with FFP, but you shouldn't go for a player because he's playing for a team strong with FFP. You go for a player because you've scouted him, he fits your system. That's exactly the kind of player you're looking for. I kind of feel like what you should do is you should basically scout the players, and then if they happen to play for an FFP team, then you take advantage of it. What we do is we look at the teams that go for FFP and say, who can we get from them? Basically.
Exactly.
That's the way opposite way around.
And you know what? This whole rebuilding, this whole project is really exciting, but it just makes me really frustrated when we're just focusing on these teams that we can take advantage of. It's just really annoying, to be honest. But that's the way Spurs deal with things, and I guess we're just going to have to accept it. But we have to be looking at players that are not just from FFP struggling teams. We have to. This is no way to build a team and no way to build a squad. Let's talk about pre-season and post-season now. Spurs have travelled out to Australia. They left their flight 3 hours after the final whistle yesterday. And the squad, the 24-man squad to travel to Australia are George Abbott, Brandon Austin, Rodrigo Bentancur, Leo Black from the under-18s, Alfie Devine, Jamie Donnelly, Radu Dragoshin, Brian Hill, Tyrese Hall, Brennan Johnson, Dejan Kulusevski, Rio Kitamaran, Emerson Royal, James Maddison, Ashley Phillips, Pedro Porro, Iago Santiago, Pat Mate Sarr, Dane Scarlett, Ollie Skip, Heung-min Son, Van der Ven, Vicario and Alfie Whiteman. Notable absentees are Cuti Romero, Giovanni Lo Celso, Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg and Mikey Moore. The explanation for Mikey Moore is because he's been called up for the under-17s Euros, so he'll be playing there. Callum Olusesi also got called up as well, so big up to them too, and we'll be keeping a close eye on them in Cyprus. And Hojbjerg, the only thing I can think of is that he's close to a move, because you've got players like Emerson Royal and stuff that are going. Maybe he's stayed back to have talks with a number of clubs. Yeah. Giovanni Lo Celso. I mean, he did mention Lo Celso in the post-match press conference, saying, I think he alluded saying like he's fit and he's going to go and stuff, but he's not going.
I think he said he had because he missed the game for injury, so he was saying he will go unless there's other problems. So maybe he hasn't recovered from the injury, or maybe as well it's move related. I'm not sure.
The interesting one is Cuti Romero. I'm not sure why he hasn't gone. There has been. I mean, he came out on social media after the game saying, we go again next season, how happy he is. He's 100% in love with the team and everything like that. Got a text last night saying he refused to go. I mean, what's the deal with Cuti Romero? Why has he not gone?
His girlfriend just fell pregnant. I don't know. Maybe he wants to be with her. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of.
I can get it if she just had a baby, but just falling pregnant is no reason not to go.
Maybe if he could waggle not go in and just spend time with her. I don't know. I can't think of any reason other than that, really. I mean, I'm not in his camp. I don't know.
It's a strange one, though, isn't it?
Seeing he's vice captain, he's a very important part of the team. You'd have thought he'd be going, but maybe he's got another personal reason we don't know about.
Maybe. And last but not least, Spurs have announced pre-season tour in Korea. They announced Japan a few weeks ago, and now they have announced a trip to Korea after Japan, and they will play Bayern Munich on Saturday, the 3rd of August, in the World Cup Stadium in Seoul. It's going to be interesting because they're going to be facing Bayern Munich again on the 10th of August at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So two games against Bayern Munich, 2 games against Harry Kane this summer. And I expect another game in Korea to be announced as well at some point, but hasn't been as of yet.
So a Bayern doubleheader this summer.
Yeah.
Can't wait. The memes are going to write themselves with the trophies. If we win, Kane still can't win a trophy, all that kind of stuff.
Is it 2 trophies up for grabs?
I guess so. The Kuplang series. I don't know if it's on that game. Maybe it's like a league.
Because there is a trophy at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium up for grabs.
But that's exciting. I can't wait. We're definitely going to be going out there, so I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories we've broken to you today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.